We're good. Do you have any announcements or anything? Are you good? Just start, go.
If you guys are ready and you're ready,
Okay.
Coach Harsin spring press conference.
All right. Well, 2 days of helmet practices, I should say, which have been really good. It's been good to get out there with those guys. I thought yesterday's practice was better than Monday's, and it's good to see those guys out there working, and they are working hard, and they are playing fast as we can in no pads. And so I think we're getting some good work. And I like what the coaches are doing. I think we're organized out at practice, and those are the things just from a general standpoint that I look at. Execution's been okay. It'll probably even tailor off just a little bit in tomorrow's practice because we're putting more in, and that's about the time the guys start getting a little bit overloaded, which is okay. It's exactly what you expect. But we do get in the pads, so we take the pajamas off. And we get into our pads on Friday, and so we actually get to hit somebody. And I think that's one of the things that we're all looking forward to. And I say I'm probably more so the players to get out there, and you can do more in pads. We're still going to practice fast. We're still going to hit. We're still going to stay up and do things the right way. But I think the pads allow you a little bit more to see where we really are and if this plays are really going to hit and so on. Urgency, energy, effort, all been good. That hasn't been an issue out there. We had to talk about getting from one drill to the next more urgently. We haven't had to say much about the effort. Guys are excited. They're out there giving the effort. And the urgency to get things done and to repeat it or do it right has been very good. So we're working mostly offense and defense right now. We've got one 10-minute segment of special teams in there, and as we get back from spring break, that will go to 20 minutes like a normal practice. But right now, primarily working field goal and punt. We'll start getting into more individual drills here in the next couple of days as we get pads on, which will be kickoff return drills and kickoff drills. As we get into pads, those will be competitive. And what we're really trying to find out is just who does what well, who looks like they cover well, who looks like they can protect in coverage. And then we start to adjust the teams. And Coach Riddle, he's got some fun drills that are competitive. The guys actually move from one spot to the next if you win the drill, and it's something we feel is very important for us. But we've got to get that mindset of how we do it first before we start putting in the schemes. Our schedule, leading into the scrimmage, we have a scrimmage 1 week from today, and we're going to practice Friday. It'll be in shells. Sunday night we'll be in pads. We'll go Tuesday, that will be in pads, and then we go Thursday scrimmage. And we're looking roughly at 25, maybe 30 plays for that first group of guys, for example. So each player should get anywhere from 20 to 25 plays right around there. And then we'll watch it Friday before they head out on spring break and put that to bed and then come back and be ready to go for the second half of spring. Sunday night practice is really just to space it out a little bit. Two, I think it's good to get out there. We'll go on the field about 7:45, and I know there was quite a few games last year that were played at that time. I don't think that will change much, but it's fun to get under the lights, get outside, and just do it at a little bit different time. So that's a little bit of a change up for us. I don't know if you guys saw it, the Bronco All Access. Chris Mitchell, our video coordinator, did that, does a tremendous job. He's very creative. That was episode 1. And I thought he did a great job. Our kids watched it today. They liked it. But we'll do some things. We've got a few more of those that we're going to do that we think are, is how we want to present, what we're doing, some behind-the-scenes deals. And our kids like it. And it's good to see our players in a little bit different light, talking and representing the team. We think that's important. Pro Day's coming up on Monday, and that's a big day. We've got guys here now that have been training, coming back, getting prepared for that. And, these are our guys, and they're guys that have worked extremely hard through this program. Matt Paradis, for example, Matt was a walk-on from Council that I was responsible for and bugged me throughout the summer. He would come up here and annoyed me, and finally was like, that's fine, just show up to camp, we'll be good. And all of a sudden, he's going from D-line to O-line to starting center to having a chance now to play at the next level. It's things like that. You see, guys like Matt that are going to have opportunities on Monday to go showcase. And Richie Brocco's been here lifting. Richie signed another 2-year deal. And Richie's a guy that, from Arizona that we recruited and had a foot injury, in his senior year, and you didn't know what was going to happen. All of a sudden, he's got another 2-year contract. And so it's a great day for these guys to have opportunities to live their dream, to continue to play football. And hopefully it's like Richie. Hopefully they get opportunities and get more contracts and get a chance to continue to keep playing. We had a couple practices now. We do players of the day in practice. We do an offense, a defense, a special teams. Then we do a playmaker, which is it's usually an offensive guy. It doesn't have to be, but it's really kind of one of the biggest plays or best plays in practice. We do a ball hawk, which is one of the defenders that gets most of the turnovers or the best turnover. And then we have a group of the day. So practice 1, our offensive player was Jay Ajayi. Our defensive player was Mercy Maston. Our special teams player on day 1 was Corey Bell. Our playmaker on day 1 was Thomas Spurbeck. The ball hawk, who had a couple big turnovers in practice, Darian Thompson. And then the group was the DBs. All right, the second practice on Wednesday, the offensive player was Grant Hedrick. Had a good day throwing the ball. Thought he led the offense and communicated and ran it in the way we want it to be run. On defense, Tyler Gray. On special teams, Sean Whale. The playmaker of the day was Jake Rowe. The ball hawk was Blake Reno, and the group of the day was the O-line. And these guys, we keep track of these. We have a board up in the locker room. We write their names up there, and we keep track as they go through each practice, and there'll be something for them at the end. You get your name up there the most, you get a little something. So it makes it fun, makes it competitive. But guys are working hard. Everybody's excited about tomorrow, and just to see where we're at when we start kind of getting out there and hitting a little bit. So with that, we'll open up for questions.
What are some of these drills that everyone's put together?
Well, there's quite a few, but I'll give you an example. We'll set up 3 lanes, okay, and we'll just tell guys, hey, just even the lines out. It doesn't matter. You can be a kick returner or a kickoff guy. We just even the lines out. And there's a cone at the end. And the challenge is to keep, as you run down there full speed, you need to touch the cone, and the guy blocking you needs to keep you from touching the cone. If you win, you keep moving towards the press box. If you lose, you have to move away from the press box. So what you end up getting is you get all these winners. Hopefully by the end of it, all the winners are on the press box line, and all the guys that have lost are either in the middle or away from the press box. And towards the end of the drill, you have all the guys that have won. So whatever that competition was, whether either side of the ball, you get all the winners there. They're competing at the end of it. And then you kind of get down, you kind of drill down to your last 1 or 2, and you have a little bit of fun, one last competition, and finish it out. But you get to see the guys that keep hanging. If you keep watching these guys staying in that left lane or closer to the press box, and they keep winning, you start to see some guys in there that are potential guys for that drill or that special teams. And so there's just some little different creative ideas like that he's done. Our specialty circuit that we do, and we do this almost every practice, but everybody's going through, whether you're an O-line, or not O-line, but D linemen, mostly defenders, blocking punts, catching a return, guys that may not ever do it, but you're still working on it because you never know. They might be guys that get a squib kick at them and different things like that, but we're working on it. So I think the drills we do in special teams are creative. I think it gives everybody a chance to kind of showcase, because they all want to have a part in special teams. If you're not a starter on offense or defense, you want to be on the field. This kind of gives you a chance to see everybody, their skills, and maybe you find somebody that fits that you didn't think, but after watching them, they do.
You said 20 minutes would be your norm for special teams in this practice. Is that the same as when you were assistant here, or different? Or
Yeah, it's the same.
Same.
Yeah, you had 2 10-minute blocks.
Okay.
It's kind of how we worked it. Now those will change. Sometimes we'll start with it. Sometimes we'll be in the middle of practice. But you get about 20 minutes of teams in there a day on a normal practice.
That's obviously been a huge emphasis here in the past. Is that
Yep.
something you took from your time here, that, hey, we got to make that important?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That was a big deal. That was a big deal at Texas. That was a big deal at Arkansas State. That won't change here. I mean, that was really, when I was here with Hawk, Hawk being the former special teams coordinator, that mindset was set for a long time. And then obviously Riddle being here, working with Hawk as well. And then, last year we did some good things at Arkansas State on special teams. And then last year when Coach Huff was running it, we did some really good things here. So we need to continue that.
I know it's early and it's hard to maybe guys to stand out, but behind J.J., you don't have a lot of proven depth at that running back spot. How do you manage his carries so he's not taking them all while also evaluating who among that group might be a good backup?
Yeah, right now, we're just rolling with, everything's a 4-4-4 rotation. All right, so you got your 1s, 2s, and 3s are all really taking the same amount of reps, 4, 4, and 4. Now that'll start to change. It'll start to go 6, 4, 4. Then eventually as you get into a season, you would have your 1s taking 6, your 2s taking 4, and your 3s taking 2 maybe at that time. So right now that really doesn't factor into, trying to save his legs at all. As we get into after the first scrimmage, then the reps start to change a little bit, and then you got to start seeing some different guys in there. And I think spring ball is a time where guys that have played, we still need to have them improve, and they still want to improve. And so as you get to a point where you're seeing guys starting to make a lot of progress through the drills, through practice, in the reps they get in the scrimmages and all of that, that's when you start to decide, okay, how much more do they really need at this point? Because you kind of get diminishing returns. But if he keeps needing them, if there's something we get in that first scrimmage, if he's not seeing it or he's not doing something right, we need to keep giving him the reps until he gets it right. He starts doing things right like any other player that's had experience. They come out there, they're doing things the right way. Now hey, this guy's dialed in. He's going to be ready to go. Now we got to see the other guys. But you want to make sure that you come out of spring and you've got somebody in a position that is really dialed into what you want going into summer.
Who is taking those second-team reps or third-team?
It's a mixture. Fields is taking it back there. Demas is back there. DT has been taking most of the 2 reps, and kind of juggled like that. Basically, I'd say DT has taken the most, but those guys have all kind of rotated, and really even Jay. It's not just there's some specific plays that we want Jay to get. It might not be an inside zone. It might be pass protection versus a certain blitz. Because we've seen him run and you've seen him do those things on film. Now we've got a couple different things in protection that we want to get him. So you're kind of not really in a maybe 1s, 2s, and 3s phase for those guys as you need to get this look more importantly.
Only having 10 offensive linemen, how does that affect you, and particularly if you start to lose a guy or two?
Oh, I'm good. Those 2s get worked pretty hard. So what we do is we go, our blues is our first group, our orange is our second group, and our white is our third group. So we try to go blue, orange, blue, back to white, because you've got a lot of those guys that are orange, the second team, that are taking the white reps as well. And so the first day we went blue, orange, white, so the 2s were going back to back, and we knew we were doing that, but we didn't want to change it. I didn't want to change it. And then I think at the end of practice, we're like, let's go and change it up. We'll go blue, orange, blue, white, and give those guys a break in between. And we'll have to do that in the scrimmage too. We'll have to start with the orange, go to the blue, come back to the white, go back to the blue. We're going to have to find ways in there to give those guys a break in between, because those second 5 are going in that third group as well.
For the spring game, you're planning on it being a game-type situation. If you only have 10 linemen, are you just going to go 5 and 5, or are you going to mix in that?
Yeah, it'll be a little different setup. We'll have one team going one way, one team going the other. All right, that's how we'll score it. So you'll have an offense always going one way and an offense always going one way. So you're still getting your offense versus defense, because we need that. All right, we're still evaluating in that scrimmage, and you're getting your 2 offenses, basically your one offense and your second offense, working together really the entire time. So what we need to make sure of is that we have 5 on both sides as we go out there. Otherwise, you're going to have somebody in there from the 1s going with the 2s and having to go. And if that happens, then we'll have to be a little more creative on the rotation with the offenses, and it'll be a combination of a mixture of the blues will go out there to start it, and then you'll have a mixture with the next group, and we're just going to have to keep rotating them at that point.
So it won't be drafted teams.
No, we don't have a
first team together, your second team.
Yeah, we did that one time, here, and I liked it. We had a full squad. Now, we had a full squad. We had a group of coaches that knew the players. That was probably more for the coaches fighting boredom. We had to recruit players going into that spring, and it was really fun. We enjoyed it, but for us, the spring game, you can look at it two ways. If you got a veteran team and you've been together for a while, you can go have some fun and do some different things. And you get a lot of guys in there that have opportunities to play that haven't played much the previous season. This one, I mean, it's going to be an evaluation. I would fully expect it to be as intense as our first and second scrimmage, because those guys need the reps. We need to see the reps, and we need to take advantage of as much as we can.
One of your first hires here was Andy Avalos, who obviously you knew him as a player, but hadn't worked with him as a coach before. What did you know about him or see that made you want to keep him here?
Well, I knew he was really smart, and I'll give you a story. Coach Hawk, I don't remember what team he looked at, but he decided one day we were going to go 4-foot splits at O-line. And so we break the huddle, we line up, we got 4-foot splits, and I'm talking like this table right here in gaps. The quarterback starts calling his cadence, and Avalos is the linebacker, and he's looking at it. And about the end of his cadence, he just walks up in the gap and just hits it. He's up in the quarterback's face like this. And Pete's like, that's out. I was looking at Avalos, he's like, you guys going to do that? I'm going to come every time. And I was like, all right, that guy's a smart guy right there. Wasn't even supposed to. And then he started messing with the offense. But one thing about Andy, I've always liked him as a player. He's always been a hard worker. He's always been a guy I think's had a chip on his shoulder with something to prove. He's always been smart. He's played that way, and being around him as a coach, not much has changed. That mentality is carried into his coaching. He's very detailed. I think for that linebacker group, he's exactly what they need, because he's played the position. I just think his mentality. And I think for linebackers in general, and especially the way we want to play, it is all about that. It's all about the mentality. We got good players. We have big linebackers. They can run, and I think having the right mindset and mentality that he brings really helps that group out. So it's been very good.
You've experienced coaching the position you played here. Marcel obviously has. I know it's a big deal to Andy. Is something special about that when you're coaching the position you played at the school you played it at?
I think so. I think there's, maybe you have a little bit of just experience from the standpoint of what they're going through, from playing that position. You understand the environment that they play in a little bit better, and that helps for certain positions. But I also think, I don't know if it's so much for the coach. I think sometimes it's for the players as well. Andy's a guy, you watch him, he's on highlights. You see him play, you've seen him out there. He's gone through that. He's busted his butt. Those guys are doing the same things. And so I think it's a mutual respect. When you have played the position and it's your alma mater, I think the guys, they know who you are, and those guys have seen him play or have seen highlights of him playing, and they probably pull up old clips and have fun with it too, at the same time, which makes it all good. That's all part of it, and I think it makes it fun, and it makes the whole experience even better.
I know you hit him with the interception return at Big Al's. He never
Oh, yeah.
goes down, is he?
No, that's on everything, because he about died on that one there too. Oh, yeah. We got, it's 75 yards down that hallway, and he's 65 yards from me, so I'm always asking him if I should come down and see him. I know it's a long way for him, just from watching him run.
Can you talk about walk-ons? Since they haven't enrolled yet?
No. I don't know that exactly, but I'm going to say no right now.
Okay.
And if I can, we'll answer it when we come back again. But we do have a good group, obviously, that we, guys we know, guys we recruited. I think the one thing about Boise State, we've done a good job with our in-state guys, and we want to continue that. Not every. Let me say this about walk-ons too. All right, so you're obviously limited by numbers, but you recruit a lot of these guys, and you don't know. You don't know if it's going to be a scholarship situation, and it might be. And all of a sudden something changed, and now you don't have one. Whatever that is. Now all of a sudden we have to take an O lineman instead of a D lineman. And you've built a relationship, and you know what? Those guys feel strongly about wanting to be here, and you don't have the scholarship now, but you might later, or they want to come in and earn it, and that's where those guys, that's how you build those relationships. They don't just pop out of nowhere. You know these guys, you spend time with them. obviously coming in right now, I'm getting caught up on some of these guys that are walking on now that were already planned on walking on, which we're not going to change that. But as we go forward from here, that's the status of the kind of guys that walk on here and are part of this program. And a lot of them have been very productive players for us. They've earned scholarships. They've done a lot of great things. We want to continue that.
Have you put any of the existing walk-ons on scholarship since you got here?
No.
I don't know if there's been a Division I transfer here since maybe I started, 8 years ago. I mean, you had some other JC transfers and Bo Barton's a
Right.
transfer up, but is that an area where you may explore a little bit more than maybe the previous coaching staff did? Guys who,
With the transfers and all that?
yeah, Division I particularly.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's the right guy, obviously if you have a need for it, I wouldn't say no to that at all, because I do think there's certain situations now, especially where guys get into a university, maybe it's not the right fit, and it could be the right fit for you. So, yeah, it's no different. I mean, it doesn't matter if you didn't get them out of high school and they're a year or two into college, but it's the right fit or it's the right situation for you, then we're going to entertain that as well. But I think, oh man, who was the guy? You maybe just think about it. We had a corner from Arizona State that had transferred here back in the day. Mac Tier Clay. Mac Tier Clay. He's from Arizona State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mac Tier Clay. I think that was the last one. That was the transfer.
USC, I think those were the only two.
Oh, that's right. Who was the guy from USC? D lineman.
Start with a W.
Yeah. It didn't last that long at all. He like in and out. Not have known that, but absolutely. I mean, you'd hope in a perfect world, you hope that a quarter of your team graduates and a quarter of your team comes in and they're all high school players, and you get to redshirt all these guys, and everybody in the middle and your seniors, they're all playing, and that group gets to come in, they're all stronger and faster and more knowledgeable. It just doesn't work that way. Guys leave, and guys want to play. There's opportunities, and it's probably a little bit more common now than it has been of guys transferring and going different places, and you just got to be able to deal with it. So, if guys were to leave here, we've got to be able to fill it with somebody else.
Now that you've cut up all the tape from last year and looked at the defense, there was a drop-off in the defense last year compared to the year before. What do you think happened with the defense last year, looking at it from the outside?
I don't know. I mean, without even knowing the year before, I think a little bit of experience. There's always that factor in there. There's experience. I also think that, the league is better. There's better offenses. All right. There were some pretty darn good quarterbacks in the conference this last year too, and so there's a combination of those things. And so with that experience and playing better offense and playing better teams, better quarterbacks, better skill players, that's kind of what I looked at too. I mean, when you watch the tape, is Derek Carr is pretty good at Fresno, and you watch him out there, and he's a good quarterback in any league. So you're playing against some good players, and I think that experience, however, going into this year, for some of those guys that played, is going to help them. I think that's a big part of being good in any phase or any side of the ball is experience, and then probably just a combination of really both sides working together. I think you got to have a little bit of harmony there. Special teams, offense, defense, it's all got to have a little bit of harmony as the game goes on. And not comparing all those things yet, but that can be part of it as well. So to me, going forward, it's, hey, what'd you learn from it with the players? Rather than, hey, what do you think the main reason was for this, and this? It's like, what did you learn? That guy's really fast, or I need to get back on this, or I can't play it like that. Or, as Coach Yates and those guys watch it, there's some things in there too. You look at it from a scheme standpoint that, if the previous staff was here, they'd look at it too. You make changes after a year. You look at maybe some of the things you did, that didn't work the way we wanted it to, or that personnel didn't work the way we wanted it to. We got to change it up, and we've looked at those things, and we'll make adjustments, and we have made adjustments, and we're doing that as we go right now.
I don't know if it shows up when you're watching the cut-ups. Gabe Perez had a huge last 4 or 5 games last season as a true freshman.
Mhm.
You notice that? You see him sort of taking that out on the field this spring, that momentum? Or?
I've seen him take it out in workouts. Yeah, he and Kamale, both those guys, they seem to pair up, and they work with each other. Both those guys are young guys. They work really hard. They both want to be really good. You see it now, Gabe and Kamale, both those guys, and we're just in helmets, but they're coming off the edge, and I'm real curious to watch them tomorrow on pads. But being young guys and having to, you'd love to not have to play a true freshman in there because you're kind of microwaving guys, through the summer. You don't have all that off-season or in-season, off-season training that you get as a redshirt. And so both those guys, I think they've hit the weight room with a purpose now to really, they're trying to catch up from missing that as they played and trying to really, in their minds, take advantage of spring practices, go as hard as they can, get ready for summer, try to get as strong, as big as they can, and then be ready to go. But they're going to be better off from their experience now. Physically, both those guys, they look really good, and they're going to get better, where their numbers are right now.
Outside of Matt Miller, Shea Williams, who's really stepping up to fill those wide receiver positions?
Well, Thomas Spurbeck is this is 2 days now. Spurbeck has had some moments out there. Shipley, looks like he can do some things. Troy Ware, has had some couple good moments. We've got some guys at that position. All right, we need to get better with those guys, and they will. We need to utilize them maybe a little bit differently and move them around some, and we will. As far as the talent, and what we have to work with and how those guys practice, I like what they're doing. That's a good group. Now we just have to take all their efforts and their talents, and we got to help them a little bit, just put them in the right spots and and try to be a little creative and utilize them in different ways and use Matt in different ways and use Shane in different ways to get him the ball. And then as we go, we'll start to see when we get into the live tackling and all that, all right, you run the route, you catch the ball, now what do you do with it? And you start to find out, what those guys can do with the ball in their hands. That helps us create how we're going to utilize them, where we're going to put them.
How are you changing the ways you're using Matt and Shane?
Well, nothing right now. But, we got some ideas of how to move them in different spots. That's one thing I think the personnel that we can get into and get out of, we can put those guys in different alignments and things like that. So they won't always be just in their one spot. All right, so we can move them around. Maybe it's for matchups or it's a different way to get in the ball, but we'll find ways to do that and be creative with them.
What do you need to see out of Grant this spring, sort of, emerging as that leader on offense?
Yeah, I want to see him execute. I don't think, there's still always things to work on. Grant fundamentally, he's got good technique. He throws the ball well. His arm is plenty strong. He runs well. So now it's all comes down to execution. I don't think there's, that you're sitting there talking about so much about his feet and the way he carries the ball and those different things like you are with Finley and some other guys. You're talking more about, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? What'd you pre-snap? You're talking more football with him. We're talking more X's and O's, scheme, and then we're also talking more defenses and how to beat it. And so for Grant, it comes down to execution, and as we and really when I said coming back and kind of just, we've had a few just quick conversations after a play. What'd you see? That. Perfect. Good. Move on. And you start to just hear him coach himself, back to you basically. And I think that's where, as a senior quarterback, that's really where you get to be. You turn around and go, hey, I saw this, I saw that, I checked it down because of that. And you start to coach yourself up a little bit. And he's not there yet, but that's really what you hope to come out of spring with is just, that idea. And he's had a better taste of it now, having a few games under his belt he started, to know, okay, this is what it's going to be like. And along with the execution, just, the level of how his intensity as he plays out there. So I'm talking about his focus, I'm talking about his speed of how he plays, because regardless of the drill we're doing or what type of tempo we're in, we need to play fast. And I play fast from the quarterback, not tempo and offense, but play fast from the quarterback position at all times.
What's your philosophy in terms of him running the ball? Because Pete was kind of hesitant, particularly with the quarterback situation, to let him get out there and run a ton. What's your philosophy with that?
Do what we got to do. Should probably ask him that. Yeah, it'd be a question for
So if
him.
he's got to run 20 times, you're okay having
We'll,
him
we'll run him, yeah, because he's got the ability to do that. And I think that's part of who we are. You know, we utilize our quarterback in different ways. You know, it also depends on how we develop, you know, up front, tight end wise, and different ways to maybe not have to do those things, but if we have to, we will. You know, we can generate some yardage and some different plays by utilizing our quarterbacks. Regardless of it, we're still going to do that. How much we do it, that depends. But he will run, and then unscheduled plays, you know, for Grant, you can hang on and maybe throw the deep comeback, or you can stick your foot in the ground and go run for as many yards, you know, and guarantee that we're going to get him, and he's got the ability to do that. When he does, he's going to have to run, and the one thing about Grant, I think Grant's a tough guy. You know, so when he does run, he's a smart runner, but he'll run, and if he needs to go get it, he'll go get it.
What have you seen out of Stewart, and how much has Finley been able to do?
Yeah, well, I'll talk about Finley first. Finley keeps progressing. He's now as tolerated. We've kind of held him back out of the team, and he tried to insert himself the other day, and we pulled him out of there. So, you know, we've just kind of basically taken the training wheels off and just said, you got to tell us how you feel. So we'll let him get some team reps now. The more he throws, the better he feels. You know, it's just keeping his arm loose. But he's starting to get more confidence with it. Tommy, I think Tommy's doing a real good job. I don't think we overcoach Tommy. Just let Tommy play. Let him go out there and play football. He just finds the guys and throws them open. But he's learning this system. You know, I think for any new quarterback and something completely new, you're just trying to figure out what exactly are the expectations of me on these particular plays. And the one thing about Tommy can make plays. He's figuring it out. He doesn't have all the concepts right now. He'll probably struggle a little bit more as we go into tomorrow's practice, but it'll all start to make sense because one of the things about Tommy spends about as much time as I've seen anybody around here in the film room trying to figure it out. And the one thing I can guarantee is he will. He'll get it figured out, and he's doing a nice job. But I do like the way he's operating out there. I like the way he's seeing certain things, and we just got to keep progressing with him. So he's done a good job.
You got a big smile on your face. Is that...
I'm just thinking about well, we have a play in there, and we can give the tight end an indicator of what we want him to do. And Tommy didn't know the indicator, he didn't know the tight end's name, so we just started yelling, "Tight end, tight end!" And they got it right, and they connected for a touchdown. So that's what I'm saying. That's Tommy. He's like, I didn't know what the signal was. I didn't know his name. I just yelled tight end, and he looked at him like, I got you. So it all worked out. So that's why we just don't overcoach Tommy. He'll be just fine. Just let him go out there and play.
You were running a drill the other day with quarterbacks. You said at your press conference you wanted to be involved. What is your role going to be with those quarterbacks?
You know, well, that was one thing. You know, Mike was working with the holders, and I wanted to go over there and just work a couple drills with them. Probably that from a drill standpoint, you know, do a couple things with them, watch them. You know, I can critique the fundamentals and different things. My role in practice, you know, Mike's on the sideline. He's calling the plays, and we're getting it signaled in. I'm standing back there, and as those guys turn around, I'm just asking them a quick question. What'd you see? All right. Why didn't you throw the first read? You know, they're just looking, and they're kind of getting the play and answering my question at the same time. I'm just trying to gauge, you know, what they're thinking. All right. So I can relay that to Mike. That can help him, you know, out there at practice, so he can, as we have time in between some drills, he can talk to those guys about certain things. But just trying to talk to those guys and just educate them on what we're doing. At the same time, you know, I think my job for the quarterback is to make sure that the operation is right, and not just on them, but everything else around them. And if it's not, to make sure that it gets right for those guys. Other than that, film room, you know, I've got my opinions on, you know, what we're doing or how we're doing it or how we're drilling certain things, or how we're reading certain things from the quarterback standpoint, from how we've done it to, you know, maybe a change now and talking through it before we change something to make sure we're on the same page.
You get into the quarterback meetings at all, or what?
I haven't yet. I've sat in the offensive staff meeting. I'll get into those tomorrow. Not just the quarterbacks, but I'll start getting into the coaches' meetings, you know, and just sitting there. And I'll start with the defensive side, and just sit back there and just listen to what they're saying. And you know, I like to watch the players, just how they interact, you know, and just how much confidence they have in the meetings, because you kind of know how it's going to translate onto the field. And I know when I walk in there, it gets a little bit more. they get a little more quiet. So I try to just sit in the back, not say much, and try to keep them as relaxed as possible. But I also want to know just how we're teaching and what those guys are learning and what we're doing and what type of questions they ask in meetings. It's important for our development as coaches too, to make sure we're getting better as well.
Jake Rowe was one of the players that tight end is a spot where I know you've been banged up and don't have maybe the numbers experience-wise that you want, but you've got a lot of young players at the position. Is Jake a guy that's going to have to contribute this year?
Yeah, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine at tight end. We got some guys. That's one thing we do. We got some guys. Jake's a player. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger, but he can run. He can catch. He's getting better with his hand in the ground. I mean, he might have had one of the better blocks on the backside of the zone that I've seen in a long time, just technique-wise. I know we're only in helmets, but from a technique standpoint. So I think our tight end position, I think with Coach Drinkwitz, being in the offense last year, and we did some different things. And at Arkansas State, we had 2 really good tight ends. And so, I think we've got that here as well. But that's a position that, we'll have more than one on the field at times, and probably more often. We'll have a couple out there, and, we like to utilize that position. Now, they got to be able to do it, but that kind of gives us flexibility and some different things we want to do.
I know you said second half of your season at Arkansas State, you wanted to not be a 50-yard line coach and get over the defense more. Are you already to that point here, or is that something that will develop through spring ball? Or
It'll develop. I haven't done that completely. I only do that when the defense gets a turnover. I run over there and get on their side of the ball. I haven't yet. I've been more on the offensive side, just making sure, there's some things in there that need to be, just watched. Little details that, from doing it and being in it for so many years, you just kind of know what to expect. And I think as we get through the first scrimmage, we have a better feel of where we are, what we're running, and we start to get into a little bit more away, not away from DNA, but more of the compliments off of it. And that just takes some time, and you got to, the coaches need to coach that and spend time on it, and then that'll give me a chance to kind of go on the other side. And I think for me, sitting in meetings on defense, I'll learn the defense. I've already sat in there and know a lot of the things that we're doing, but it's also at the same time over there for a mentality standpoint too. I mean, I really think that from a defensive standpoint that it's a mentality. It's not so much that I'm bringing a whole lot to the scheme. I think I can bring an offensive perspective that, we're doing some things now on defense that I think from an offensive standpoint you should do. It causes problems, and we've been doing that. So other than that, that's kind of what will happen here is we get through the first scrimmage. I'll make my way over there and spend a little bit more time and just see how they're doing things, and then also watch the offense from a different perspective and try to see if we're all doing the right things.
did I hear the air horn yesterday?
What's that?
Did I hear the air horn yesterday?
You heard it.
Still got the turnover air horn?
Oh, yeah. You heard it a few times. Yeah, it was like a feeding frenzy in one-on-ones. Every time I turned my back, boo! Like, who's that? Defense is going crazy, which is good. Who did have it? I think Brian Wilkinson might have had it out there. He was blowing it. Everybody wants a piece of the horn. All right, when you get into certain drills, they all want to be able to blow the horn. But we need to find something for the offense. Now I can say this as the offensive coordinator, when Peterson brought the horn out, that was the one thing I could not stand at practice, and that upset me every practice when I hear that dang thing. I'm like, you know what? We need something for the offense. Like, no, you don't. So I think we still need something for the offense. I don't know what that is yet. I'm kind of in the same issue he is or was, but we'll find something.
How many guys are expected at Pro Day Monday?
I think 7.
Yes, sir.
Geraldo, Aaron, Matt, Charles Leno, yeah, just thinking of him too. Southwick will be there. DeMarcus will be there. Yep. Ricky will be there. Yep.
Well, it's just, the linebacker group, you end up not recruiting anybody because obviously you felt good about the group you had. What are you seeing out of that bunch in the first couple months?
Yeah. Boy, we got some big guys. That's what I do like. We do have some guys now. We got some length at that position. I like how they've worked. You know, I think from a mentality standpoint, through our early morning workouts, I think they've gotten better. You know, just that unit, and I think, like we talked about with Coach Avalos, I think the mindset's been important for him. But just out of practice, watching them run around, we have some length and we got some speed. Lee can run. Blake Reno, he had a turnover the other day. Chris Santini, I mean, all those guys are, Joey, they're all out there running around. And they get from point A to point B, and they got some intensity to them, but they've also got the physical tools from a speed standpoint to get to where they need to be. And so I think we'll be, and they got size. You know, if they're going to run it at you, I think they can hold their own. And if they're going to have to get in the pass game and all that and drop back, we got guys to do that too. So we just got to hone it all in and get the right ones out there. And we got some depth at that position, and you know that's why we didn't have to do that right now. It felt like we had some guys now that could come in there and play. Okay. All right. Thanks, fellas.